What's up? Hey, hello everyone. Today, wow, happy Australian Survivor start and happy, I guess, almost school starting again, which is sort of scary. So, my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and we're not going to talk about school starting because that's not what we do. So, what we are doing today is we're doing our dream cast of Survivor players who have been booted pre-merge. And so we looked at the last 10 seasons and we thought about who went out before the merge that we would really like to see play again. And so some of these players are players that played their second or third time, but I would still be willing to see played again because I didn't want them to go before the merge. And yeah, we also had a really hard time with this because we like to, when we do like our dream cast type things, we like to keep an even gender balance because that's what Survivor tries to do. But it is really difficult to find men who went out pre-merge who I would actually enjoy seeing again. Because yeah, most of the men who get voted out pre-merge are either like just really, really like bad at the game, or they just like have no personality.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So this is strictly pre-merge. For some of them, I was like, can't we just do like first boot or second boot of merge because like sometimes that doesn't really even count or they don't make jury when they make the merge. But like yeah, literally this was sort of hard finding men to put on our list to try to get an even number because like okay, millennials versus Gen X, out of like the 7 people that got out pre-merge, one was male. And so looking at the past 10 seasons for this list, it's very female heavy. So there's a lot of great females to come back. And I think this list is very interesting because, as we've seen in Edge of Extinction with people like Rick or Chris being voted out pre merge, they have a lot of potential. So I feel like Survivor should do a second chance esque type season where they only have pre merge boots because, as we've seen, people that go out pre merge do have a lot of potential and can win the game. And so I believe we have 2 people on our list that are from Game Changers or Second Chance. So those people have played multiple times, but everyone else, this would be their second chance, second time playing the game. So we'll get started with our first person, Alyssa.
so my first person has played the game of Survivor twice, and both times she was voted out the first time. And I feel like I've said this before on our podcast, but like I want Francesca to play again, Francesca Hoagie to play again, specifically because I want to see the look on her face when she is the first boot 3 times in a row. And just like
Oh my God.
it would be poetry. And so like yeah, this was basically just like my shit post of a person to put on my list because I thought it would be funny. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I think we've mentioned this before. Like, if Francesca ever plays a third time, uh, you better hope that she's not on the losing tribe at the first immunity challenge because if she is, like, people, I would want to vote her out for the third time first just for the shiz and gigs that would come from it. So I'd be so scared if I were her ever going back. You need to be on that winning tribe or else, like, that's just funny.
yeah. And I feel like we also talked about the possibility of her tribe throwing the challenge specifically so they could vote her out 3 times in a row. But
Yeah. So the first person on the female side from my list, I have Alexis from season 28, Kagayan. She was on the Beauty Tribe. And I feel like she could come back and be super, super strong. She was booted right before the merge. So sort of like screwed over by a tribe swap kind of thing. And then I feel like she could have been on Brains too. She went to Northwestern, so like she is intelligent and she was only 21 at the time she first played in Cagayan. So I feel like she could come back and now she's older and I just wanted to see like an Alexis Spencer Bledsoe kind of alliance form, but then it never did. And then Alexis was voted out. So I feel like she has a lot of potential, which is why I'd want to see her play again.
Yeah, I remember watching Alexis and liking Alexis. I think I was disappointed when she got voted out, but I also was like, it always happens. It always happens. Like the conventionally attractive girls, I feel like get voted out first.
Yeah, like she's super cute and she seems intelligent. So I think she should be brought back.
Yeah, I agree with that one. So the next person on my list is Nina from Worlds Apart, and I remember when she was voted out, she was a deaf contestant, and I remember her saying that like a lot of her tribe mates didn't really make like an effort to connect with her, and it was harder for her because she couldn't hear as well, and so people like wouldn't repeat themselves for her or something like that. And I feel like if Nina played again and she had tribe mates who were like more willing to like I guess put up with, that's the wrong word, more willing to be accommodating to like her needs, that would be like a better situation for her, just because I feel like it was like kind of unfair-ish that part of the reason she got voted out was because like it was harder for her to communicate and harder for her to like make alliances and stuff like that. Like I get that Survivor is a social game, but she shouldn't be penalized for something that like isn't her fault and isn't within her control. So yes.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. I remember watching that season on TV and then just like I don't know. There's those scenes where like people would all be talking over each other and then she would ask like, "Hey, can people talk like one by one because like you can't process all of that when a lot of people are talking over each other." And then like they still did it kind of thing. Or like the one challenge Joe, I guess was like made her sit out or like didn't let her do anything because Joe really wanted to win, which is like okay, warranted, but then like she could have been helpful, I feel like at the challenge and then he just wouldn't let her do anything.
Yeah, it was just like a sucky situation, and I feel like people get very like one track mind in Survivor, and so I feel like they might not think about how that's like kind of discriminatory and gross. So
Yeah, so it's sort of like anything that makes you different makes you an odd person out right from the start. And similar to, like we've said, race, gender, people with prosthetics on Survivor. So similar with this, it seems like anything that you can pinpoint, like this person is not the same as me, therefore we should vote them out. They look different from me, therefore we should vote them out. They are older, younger, whatever. Like we see it here too.
yeah.
So, another person from season 30, white collar, no collar, blue collar, we have on the list is So. She was the first boot off of that season from the white collar tribe. So, not the same tribe as Nina, who we were just talking about, but basically, she was voted out because she and Joaquim, who is also on the list, we'll talk about when we talk about the males, but they basically chose the wrong kind of thing at the beginning. They went into the woods and they had the option of choosing rice or an immunity idol or beans. So choosing food for the group or getting a hidden immunity idol clue, they chose the clue. Then they went back to camp and did a very bad lie saying like there was a neutral option and like we could pick neither kind of thing. And no one bought that. So they were sort of targeted because their lie was bad about choosing the hidden immunity idol, but they played it off like we chose a neutral option. Haha. So she was targeted because she was targeting Carolyn, who we all know, badass lady, older woman on the tribe. And then So gets voted out first from the season. And I believe she also dated Malcolm. So she's got to be intelligent, and I'd want to see her back playing again.
Yeah, she did date Malcolm. I feel like it was just like her one bad lie kind of spiraled, and like maybe she's learned to lie by now. So I
Or
also
come
would
up with
not.
better lies. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that having two people try to agree on a lie is so much worse because I feel like the spur of the moment lies are the best lies in Survivor. Whereas if you like meticulously plan your lie, that's when it starts to be like bad. But I also would like to see So play again. So So another girl that I would like to see play again is Allie Elliott from Heroes, Healers, Hustlers. I just remember like enjoying Allie on my television. Like she was, I think, a player who was a good balance of like social and strategic. And yeah, I was really disappointed when she got voted out, and I feel like she is definitely one of those players where if she came back, she would definitely like have learned from her mistakes, and also like I think she was the last vote pre-merge her season, and so it's like she basically made it to the merge anyway. So
Yeah, so I also had Allie on my list. She was very strong on the original tribe. I'm not sure if I had her as my winner pick from the season, but she was definitely like final five kind of thing. I thought she would make it super, super far. And she seemed like she had a good head on her shoulders, and she was very social, very strategic. And then she even voted out Patrick, who she knew from before the game. And I was like, oh, wow, like she's willing to do that because Patrick was sort of annoying on the original tribe. So I think she was sort of screwed over by the tribe swap and then Ryan flipping on her. And so Ryan makes final three and then Allie gets booted pre merge. But I would think if she did come back, I feel like she could be like a Kelly Wentworth-esque type player. Kelly was voted out before the merge, her first season in San Juan del Sur, and then she comes back and it's super, super great. I feel like Allie has that spunk and like she's memorable, I feel like, for being a pre-merge boot.
yeah, like I remembered Allie more than I remembered Ryan because I didn't remember Ryan existed until you just mentioned him, and then I was like, oh yeah, he was someone on that season.
It's like
So
red shirt Ryan.
he
So
always looked like a little rat. That's what I remember thinking about him.
So, someone also from season 35 for the female side is Rourke. I feel like a lot of people had Rourke as a winner pick for that season. I remember pre merge before Rourke got voted out. Everyone was like, oh my God, like Rourke should have made it super far. On Reddit, I feel like they post the percentage of people who had her being like before the season, people vote and then Reddit posts like, okay, where was this person on the ranking of people thinking they're winners? And so Allie was way up, or Rourke was way up there on that list. And I believe the next person is Mari, who Alyssa will talk about. But Mari was way up on that list of like, has like top three potential to win the game, similar to Rourke. And then they are both voted out pre merge. So didn't necessarily like Rourke on my TV. Maybe she didn't get that much screen time to be like super memorable, but I do remember a lot of people having like high hopes for her for the game. So I guess she can come back.
Yeah, I think Rourke might have been my winner pick, but then it was like obvious within the first couple episodes that she wasn't going to win the game because, like you said, she wasn't really like given an edit of any sort. But
Yeah.
I would be interested to see if it was just like her like interview and answers made her seem like a better player than she was, or if she actually has like potential that was wasted on that season. So yeah. So Rachel mentioned Mari from Millennials versus Gen X, and she was one of the people I also had on my list. Mari was a professional video gamer. I'm pretty sure she was either my winner pick or she was in my top three for that season. Obviously, I don't pick winners super well because I feel like a lot of my winner picks have been on this list. But anyways, I feel like she was a very strategic person, and I think that the reason that she like got voted out was just because she went too hard. And I feel like a lot of first time survivor players like have that problem where they go too hard too fast and then they get voted out because they're seen as a threat. And so I think it would be interesting to see her play a game that's like a little more reserved and be able to get further in the game just because I would like to see what the like video gaming strategy mind thing could do for her.
Yeah, I was torn between Figgy and Mari for the list. I have Figgy for like another person who I can talk about, but with Mari, like I thought she could have gone really far. I remember with Millennials versus Gen X, both Alyssa and I were so like Mari seems so smart. She's so great, like Ken from Gabon kind of thing. Figgy or Mari and Ken just did a video, I believe, with the Fine brothers. They did like a react, like kids react to Survivor kind of thing, and they were featured on that, which is a super cool video. You all should check out because little like teenage adult kids like watch Survivor, and then Mari and Ken sort of comment about Survivor also. It was super cool. But I think similar to people pre-merge getting voted out because of something different, Will recognized Mari for being on like Smosh or something that she did the video gaming for. So a very popular YouTube channel, and Will recognized her. And then so that's part of the reason that she was an easy target from the beginning. So I feel like that sort of sucks when something from outside of the game and someone recognizes you from a like YouTube channel, sort of really sucks. But I feel like she has so much potential in the game, and I would love to see Mari play again.
Yeah, I think also we might have talked about this when we did our gender balance and survivor thing about how like women and especially women of color are more likely to be voted out pre-merge, and so I feel like that's also a factor of Mari going early that we can't ignore.
And yeah, like I said, millennials versus Gen X, 6 out of the 7 people but voted out pre-merge are females. And so another one I have on the list is Figgy, also from millennials versus Gen X. We saw Michaela, who is also pre-merge that season, being brought back, and so Figgy's pre-merge also. I feel like with this, I would be interested to see Figgy play again, because I feel like her whole first time, it was the showmance between her and Taylor kind of thing. And so that really bogged down her game. I think Figgy can be really good at the show. We saw some of it play throughout, but then I feel like they voted Figgy out because she was more intelligent than Taylor, and then you can keep him around, and he's sort of like a bag of bricks, not doing anything. So I feel like, that's why she's voted out pre-merge, and I feel like she can be very good at the game without a showmance. And she does her little like YouTube video things now where she still talks about the show, so it's not like she's disappeared from the face of the earth. So I feel like I would like to see Figgy play again without a showmance. I think she could go far.
Yeah, I think we've talked about before how a lot of times in showmances, people are more likely to target the woman than the man, which is just like, it's okay, I'm fine. But yeah, I would like to see Vicky play without a showmance as well, because I feel like she was very good strategically and still had a lot to offer. And Taylor was basically just like a number for her. So yeah. So another woman that was voted out pre-merge that I would like to see play again is Alyssa from Co Wrong. I think Rachel and I have talked before about how like one of the weaknesses of themed seasons in Survivor is that sometimes you're screwed over more by the theme than by anything actually wrong with you. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Alicia was put on the Braun tribe despite being like basically a stick thin blonde girl, and I feel like everyone else on the Braun tribe kind of like resented her for that. And basically, she was on the tribe with people who really disliked her for no reason that I could really see. It was
Yeah,
just like,
bullying.
yeah, they made fun of her and like belittled her and like did all this stuff to her for like no reason. Like, she didn't like do the same things as them in challenges because she wasn't like a super beefy buff guy, but it's like that's not the only way to win challenges in Survivor. And in fact, most of the time being a super like built guy in Survivor actually isn't that great for challenges, especially endurance challenges. But yeah, I just remember being so angry like on her behalf throughout all of Co Wrong because the Braun tribe kept losing and losing and losing, and they kept finding ways to blame Alicia even though like it wasn't her fault. And yeah, I just would like to see her play again on a tribe that didn't hate her guts for no apparent reason.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I just felt so bad for her in the start of that season because, like, Scott and is it Jason, one of his
Kyle
first names?
Jason,
Yeah.
whatever his name is.
And then he went by the other one. I'm like, they were just mean. And then we saw them be even more mean later on in the show. So maybe it's just them, but I feel like Alicia was dealt a bad hand of cards her first time out there.
Yeah.
So Someone else from Brain Brawn Beauty 2 I have is Anna, who is on the Beauty Tribe, and she was a professional poker player, which from the pro poker players that we've seen in like Garrett and Jean Robert don't seem to do that amazingly well at the game of Survivor. But I feel like Anna got screwed over, seemingly like a common trend in this video that we're doing, by the tribe swap. And so the tribe switched, and then Julia was sent to like the island as the odd person out because it was an odd number to split into tribes. And then the person voted out, Julia would replace that person, and there's 2 beauty on the tribe. So then logically you'd vote out a beauty, and then Julia would replace, because you won't want to vote out a brain, and then beauty has the numbers or the majority on the tribe once Julia comes back in. So I feel like Anna sort of got messed up by the swap. Also, I would like to see Neil and Nick from this season come back again. You know, they were early merge and medevac, so like technically merge, but like technically not merge. Or Liz, who is pre-merge from this season also, the one who dated Stephen Fishback.
Yeah, Liz was definitely like on my consideration list, but when I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't
Just
know.
like she was my an honorable mention because there's just so many interesting, compelling, smart females, I feel like, compared to the men on like the people that got voted out first on tribes. So I was like, Anna, I think I'd like to see play again over Liz, but I would like to see Liz play again as well.
Yeah, I feel like there's very few people from Co Wrong, except for Scott and Kyle Jason, that I would not like to see play again, just because I feel like that season was like actually really solidly casted.
Yeah,
So
like Sydney too, even though she was like Final Four, she can come back, but maybe that's a different video. We can do Final Four boots that we want to see come back.
yeah.
Devin.
Hmm.
But that's all the females, or do you have another on your list?
I have one more on my list.
Okay.
I had Stephanie Johnson from Ghost Island. She was another female that I think was voted out. Yeah, she was voted out because she was seen as like gaming too hard, and she was doing real well. I remember like 2 episodes before she got voted out, both of us were really impressed with her for her strategy, especially in like a first time player season. And I feel like a lot of people forget about her when talking about Ghost Island just because Wendell and Dom like totally took over the game. But I feel like if she had stuck around longer, she probably would have challenged that whole like regime they had, and it would have been a really interesting game. And yeah, I just think she had the strategic chops, but again, like went too hard too fast, and that's also a common theme. So
No, I 100% agree. I would love to see Stephanie Johnson play again. I feel like she has such an inspirational story, and she seems very, very intelligent with the game. I feel like Ghost Island is sort of a whack season, sort of boring after post merge, because then we see the Wendell and Dom show, which kudos to them, obviously, because they created people who weren't willing to flip, couldn't figure out how to flip, didn't want to flip, kind of thing. So great on them. But I feel like pre-merge for Ghost Island was a lot more interesting, especially seeing like the Malolo tribe keep on losing even after the tribe swap, and then the tribe swap screwed everyone over because it was always like a 3-2 minority for all of our fan favorites on the season. So we have like 4 Ghost Island people on our list of pre-merge people we want to see back. So I really do think that goes to show, I think the pre-merge of Ghost Island was better than the post-merge for interesting players. So for men going into, I have Brendan from Ghost Island, who's also voted pre-merge, close with Stephanie, Michael, all of them. And so I feel like Brendan was on like top of the Malolo tribe at the beginning with Stephanie. Then the tribe swap happened 5-4 with Navidi having the 5. And then we see I believe, yeah, Michael Idol play with the James Idol, and then Brendan goes home. And that was a sad night. So I feel like just Ghost Island was a bad season. So I feel like Brendan does have the chops, I feel like, to do really well. He seems like the archetype body type of someone that would go at least merge in Survivor because he's a strong dude.
yeah, I think I liked Brendan. I don't remember much about him other than that I liked him. I feel like he's one of those people where like I wouldn't mind seeing him again, but also like he's also kind of forgettable. So
Sort of reminds me of who was the first person voted out at this season, 38.
you're asking the wrong
The
person.
one that looks like Chris but isn't Chris.
Oh, ow! I
The
wiped season
firefighter one.
38 from my mind, man. They
They
all
sort of
look
maybe look
very
the same.
yeah.
But yeah, so next, Bradley, you can go.
Bradley. He was like, I feel like he was the only guy on this list that was like too smart for his own good kind of thing, where he was very smart, kind of cocky, and it came to bite him in the butt. But again, I feel like the people who are kind of smart and kind of cocky do better on their second time around because they learn a little better how to manage themselves and how to manage their interactions with others. So, yeah.
Yeah. I would love to see Bradley play again. I do not know if like a second chance would be good. I feel like a heroes versus villains too. Bradley could get cast on the villains, and I feel like he's a compelling villain. Some people hated him. I feel like even though some of the stuff he said on TV was sort of like, oh, that can be taken the wrong way, it was very fun to watch. I feel like he is good TV. I would love to see like a Jacket Gate Natalie and Bradley being villains on the same tribe for like a Heroes versus Villains 2 kind of season. I would like to see Bradley play again. I don't necessarily think he can win the game of Survivor just because it seems like, you know, he rubs people the wrong way and he is very cocky and arrogant. But if he can tone that back and like acts more normal, I feel like he can go far. And he obviously is very intelligent. And I think he could be good at the game if he tones in his like social aspect.
And I mean, sometimes when people are cast on Survivor, they're not intended to win the game. They're just intended to like shake it up a little. And I feel like Bradley is one of those people that you would cast knowing that he couldn't win, but knowing that he would make the whole story of the season so much more interesting. Because
Yeah, and
like
I
it can just get so bland if everyone's just like go with the flow super nice. So sometimes you need someone like Bradley who's a little bit more abrasive.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between casting people who can't win but are willing to play and that like can't win and aren't willing to play or can't win or are just there for like social media followers because I feel like Bradley even though like we're saying we don't necessarily think he can ever win the game, I think he can go far and he'll actually play the game and create alliances and stuff versus people who don't have potential to ever win the game and are cast for the sex appeal or like whatever they do. And then like they don't do jack on the island. And then I'm like, what was the point? You're literally taking someone's spot on the island and you're not doing anything. Like half the people on this Ghost Island cast.
Yeah, so at least it would be someone who would be there to play.
Yes. I think that's all you can ask for in people. Don't cast Seabass anymore. Like, don't ever bring him back from Ghost Island. But someone else from Ghost Island, I think, would be interesting for the male side would be James, who is also a pre-merge boot off of the season. Very, very intelligent, Harvard kind of education. So I feel like, I don't know, I'd just like to see him play again, even though he wasn't a super fan of the show and he was like, maybe recruited, I believe. I don't think he watched a lot of Survivor before he was on the show, but I think he was learning as he went. And like if he had more time, I feel like on the season, he could have been really good at the show. And if he does study it more and like does that kind of stuff, I feel like he could be really good. But screwed over and by the tribe swap, I believe. And then he was sent a pack in. But I would like to see James again and also representation.
Yeah, because there's never enough not white people on Survivor. It's like that joke that Shireen made. I need 9 whites. That won't be a problem. Oh, that was comedy. Um, yeah. So the last person on my list who was a first time player that I'd like to see play again is Pat from David versus Goliath. And he was medevaced as like the first boot of the season. And I just remember being disappointed about that because Jeff said that Pat was like the reason that they decided to
Yeah.
make the season David versus Goliath. And I feel like we didn't really get to see a lot of Pat because it was literally just their first 3 days. But I feel like if he was special enough that they were willing to like build the whole season's theme around him, that was like that was something that I wanted to see. And I wanted to see like how he would play the game. And like based on what I did see of him, he's another person where I'm not sure he could win the game, but I feel like he would definitely play the game. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
It seems like he loves the game a lot, and it's so sad and disappointing to see that happen the first episode of that season. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like he would be an honorable person to bring back. Family Man inspired the season. Like, you can't go wrong with that kind of pick.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things where um because he like got taken out in such a manner, like his placement doesn't really matter because it's not like he was stupid and got voted out first. It was just he had bad luck. So,
Yeah, it's like he never even played the game, pretty much.
yeah.
So, someone along the same lines, same name as Pat, we have Patrick from season 35. Sort of mentioned him when talking about Ali from Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, the pale redhead guy. I was sort of drawing at straws at this point to find guys that I wanted to put that like I think would have potential and that were first timers since we didn't want too many like second, third time people on our list for this podcast. So Patrick, I think if he does some self-reflection from the season and like fixes himself and isn't so strong, I guess, from the start, it seems like he rubbed a lot of people on his tribe the wrong way. It was very cocky, condescending, I guess similar to Bradley. But I think if he just doesn't rub people the wrong way, I feel like he can go far. And he was someone preseason for me for that season who I had going to like Final Five. So he just did not show up well on the TV screen.
No, no, he did not. I think Patrick, like, I remember disliking him just because of his general aura. So I'm not sure I would want to see him play again just because I feel like his presence on my television made me uncomfortable. So I
He's
think it
like
would be interesting if he did play again.
what Lauren said, like never trust the redhead. No new survivor idea, redheads. Get Patrick in there, Victoria, some other redhead people.
They would
And
all sunburn so quick though. They'd have to put on extra sunscreen.
oh my god, you're right. Redheads versus Lawrence.
Redheads versus Kellys.
Versus people who don't trust redheads. Or Jessica's a very common name. The Jessicas versus the redheads get
Or
like
we could do like Jessica's versus Joe's or whatever the common boy name is.
oh god. Imagine how would you vote people out if you did that? You'd need like last name and then you'd be like, how do you spell your last name? Or like, what is your last name?
Or you could just give them all nicknames.
Yeah, Figgy's got that down. Every other Jessica, you gotta change your name.
You gotta fight to the death to beat Jessica.
Yeah,
So,
Rock Draw Jessica, Jessica, Pete from David vs. Goliath,
yeah,
a bunch of them.
yeah. So the next person I have on my list is kind of along the same lines as Pat for me, where he was taken out of the game. I believe, I guess not unfairly, but he was taken out of the game pre-merge and hasn't gotten to play again since. And that's Terry from Second Chances.
Mm,
And yeah, I have a lot of feelings about that because some people are like, he technically quit the game and Jeff doesn't invite back quitters, but like,
ugh.
yeah, that's basically my reaction too, because it's like, yeah, he quit the game, but like his son had a life-threatening heart condition, and it's not like he just randomly quit and was like, I think something's wrong with the floors or whatever. Like Jeff literally came to his camp in the middle of the night and was like, your wife like telephoned us and she thinks you should come home. And so I feel like that's one of those things where like he left the game before he like got his whole thing going. I feel like he was kind of screwed over by the swap as well. And so it's like all of these things were happening to make it like not a great season for him. And yeah, I would like to see Terry play again. I'm not sure it'll happen just because like he's getting on the older side, but like if he did, I feel like a pre-merge boot season could be good for him.
Yeah, I feel like Terry, that's so self-explanatory. Like, I feel like you don't need to explain it. Just the way that he went out in that season was so sad. And like, if you rewatch the next day when they go into the challenge and then they realize that like two people are missing from the evening before, and you're like, oh my God, what has happened? And I feel like I wouldn't want to see Terry or the other person that we'll talk about who's a returner on a for like pre-merge season just because they are such big names. I feel like even people who don't necessarily watch Survivor a lot will know Terry if they watched in the olden days of like Panama and stuff. So I feel like it would be unfair, like Game Changers casting Terry for a season with only second chance or like second time players when he's a third time and like a comp beast kind of thing versus a lot of these people on the list. Like, we don't know how they play the game versus Terry has made it really far his first time, but I feel like it'd just be unfair and I wouldn't want to see him screwed over by a tribe or a theme. So,
Yeah, but it was also super hard, like we said, to find people that we
yeah.
actually liked and would actually want to see come back. And so when I was like looking through like the results, trying to find like a pre-merge player that I was like, yeah, I want to see them again. I was like, this probably is technically wrong, but in my heart, it's right.
Yeah,
So
there are no compelling men or less so compelling men. So next person we have is Peter from season 32, Brain Brawn Beauty. Also, he was the guy that looked like Obama. And then I wrote down cocky and social game at Tribe Swap was lacking. So that just goes to show, like, you're sort of picking at straws here for these guys. But I think Peter would be interesting to come back. I feel like if he fixed his social game, similar to the other men that we're talking about here, but I feel like he could go far potentially, but things didn't go his way the first time. But I think he would be interesting for a second chance season, and that's where he would fit perfect.
I feel like Peter could also be like a good villain almost, like just
Mm,
because he is so like lacking in self-awareness, kind of like a la Bradley, where it's like, man, you just don't understand what like how what you're saying sounds. I think it always like mystified me that he was like an ER doctor because he had nothing resembling bedside manner, and I was just like, bruh, how do you do your job? So
yeah, like Bradley law student. Okay, makes sense. I like Bradley, I guess. I think what annoyed me with Bradley was he would post the results of the Survivor episode like once East Coast aired, and then I'm like, West Coast has not aired yet, and then he's already posting who got voted out, and then people would comment like, hey dude, can you at least wait until after West Coast aired? And then he would be like, it's not my problem, like, you're the one on social media, if you don't want to see it, don't be on. But then it's like, common courtesy. Half the world, half the United States hasn't seen the episode yet. You do it at 9:01 Eastern time. Like, come on, dude. Don't be rude to people in the comments section.
yeah, so he was a trip. So the final person I have on my list is another person like kind of a la Terry, where like pre-merge boot season isn't like the best season for him to be on, but I have a lot of feelings about his going
Sad.
pre-merge. And yeah, that's Malcolm. And he went pre-merge in Game Changers. And yeah, I have a lot of feelings about that because I think he got screwed over by a random twist and JT being idiotic. And yeah, I would like to see him play again. And I think it's like well known that I love Malcolm. So that's my explanation.
I feel like we have talked about Malcolm so many times, similar to Sari from Game Changers. Like, common household name of, if you want to be sad, just Google on YouTube or look up on YouTube those two vote outs and then watch the vote out play out again. And then you'll just feel 10 times worse than you already do. And sometimes I like to rewatch it and I'm like, wow, this is such a sad moment to rewatch. But yeah, I would like to see Malcolm potentially play again, but it has to be on like an all-star season. If he comes back for some random shiz like Game Changers, where half of the season are not all-stars or Game Changers, to say the least, I like he would get voted out early again. So I feel like if he does come back, it has to be on an all-star season. And since they are doing all winners for 40, I feel like they won't do all-stars for a while. And so no second chance season for Malcolm, please. No like cast is like half good, half bad. It needs to be on an all-star season.
Yeah, like don't bring him back as like one of 4 returning players or something.
Yeah, so Malcolm deserves better. So the last person for our list of people we would like to see on a pre-merge season of Survivor, which we do say I think is a very good idea and Survivor CBS should do it. But this person, like we have been drawing at straws for the past like 2 or 3 guys on this list. I have Joaquim, who was from season 28. Worlds apart. And so, similar to that we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, he had the mishap with the Bean versus Hidden Immunity Idol Clue debacle and then was caught sort of flipping a lie. And so, he is voted out at the tribe swap. And so, I feel like Joaquim, I guess he's sort of forgettable. I didn't put him down on my list the first time going through like pre-merge boots from the cast because I was like, okay, there's got to be other guys that I would want to see play again. And then I couldn't find 5. And then I was like, okay, Joaquim it is. There he is on the season. But I feel like not that memorable. I cannot, like, I could recognize his face, but I don't necessarily remember him. And maybe just worlds apart, you're just so entrenched with like Joe and Mike and Carolyn, and I feel like even like Tyler, like is it Haley came back, so maybe he's just forgettable in a memorable other people.
I feel like the thing I remember most about him is the fact that his last name is like impossible to pronounce. And that's not really something you want to be remembered for. So yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like Rodney and Joaquim had the bromance, and I don't know, Rodney, it just seems more memorable, I guess because of the birthday thing, but then also because Rodney still comments on like Survivor posts on Instagram, and then I see that, and then people get all pissed off at him in the comments. So maybe that's why or how he stayed relevant. But I feel like if it were a second chance vote in and Joaquim was on the list, I feel like, I don't know, that'd be a sort of middle boot. Like, I don't know if he would make it in, but maybe he could get enough votes if he's like popular at home or something. But like, he's on there, but I'm like, who cares, really?
Yeah. So this was our list of 20 people that we'd like to see on the Survivor pre-merge boots thing. Let us know in the comments down below who you would put on this season. I think we mentioned earlier that we just did people from the last 10 seasons based on like who would realistically come back or not. But if you guys have people from earlier seasons that you think would realistically come back that you would also like to see play again, feel free to put those down in the comments down below too. I just couldn't think of any where I was like, yes, this person would definitely come back and be invited back. And yes, I would want to see them play again. So yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like this is a cool idea. Like, I would legitimately be excited to watch a pre-merge boot season of Survivor. I'm sort of surprised that they haven't done it yet, but maybe it's because it's sort of hard to get 20 or I guess 18 compelling people on the screen. So this would also work for a second chance season of Survivor. I do believe a lot of these people should get a second chance, could be amazing players like we've seen Rick, Chris, Kelly Wentworth come back. And so thank you all so much for watching. It really, really does mean a lot. If there are any other Survivor-related videos you want to see us do, leave a comment down below, and we will see you all next time.
Bye.